Hello and welcome. In this lesson, we're going to look at local security policies, in particular the password policies. I've just installed Windows 10 Education version and I'm running the operating system in Oracle VM VirtualBox. Now, these password policies all apply to Windows 7 and other versions of Microsoft Windows as well. This particular operating system is not joined to a domain, therefore it's a local policy that we're looking at today, not a domain policy. That means it's not connected to a server running Active Directory, so it's standalone. So when you first install it, the best way to access the security policies is to type in secpol, which is short for securitypol.msc. And that will launch the security policies here. And then the next time you do that, you can just type in local and security policy will come up. You could also access the same policies through administrative tools. And you can get to policies that way. There's quite a number of different ways that you can get to the policies. Now, this affects local accounts when logging in locally to this PC. That means the default accounts when you install this operating system, not for a domain. If it's a domain, then it's group policies that apply. At the moment, this is just a standalone operating system that you would have installed in the home. So I'm running the local security policy now, and I'm going to expand account policies. You can see password policies here and account lockout policies. So we're not looking at all these other policies today, just looking at password policies and account lockout. And you can see there's 6 policies there and 3 policies here. So we'll look at each one in turn. So enforce password history. Now this policy is a policy that stops people reusing the same passwords over and over. So if I set this to say 5, which is probably a good setting, then they can't use the last 5 passwords that they've used, because if a hacker already has hacked one of the passwords and they keep reusing the same passwords over and over, then they're going to get back into the system. So set that to round about 4 or 5. That's probably about a good setting. If you click on the Explain tab, it always explains to you clearly what the policy actually does. So read that and it gives you a good explanation. I'm going to apply that. And maximum password age. Now this is the age that that password will be used up until you're forced to reset it. And the reason for that is because, again, if a hacker has managed to get that password, he's in the system, he's still using that login, then after a certain number of days, reset it. Also, if they're running a password cracking tool, it can take some time to crack the password and you've already reset your password because of the password policy. 42 days is a good length of time. If it was a high security organization, then you might want a lower number to force the passwords to get reset quicker. If it's less secure, like say primary school where kids might forget the passwords, then a longer period might suffice. Again, there's always an explanation at the side there. I'm going to leave it at 42. And you also have a minimum password age. And the reason why this would be set is to stop people just resetting their password again. So they're forced to reset and then they just set it back again to the password that they're comfortable using all the time. So they must use it for a period of 2 to 3 days, say. And again, there's always an explanation. Minimum password length, ideally 8 characters. If it's a more secure organization, 9, 10, 12, or using a passphrase rather than a password. So I would suggest a decent length is 8. Some people might argue that 10 is more secure. It certainly is more secure. Eight's about right. Okay, but again, it just depends on your organization. So I'm going to set it to 8 characters just now. And that means that the password length must be at least 8 characters. And again, if you're running a password cracking tool against a password, any more than 8 characters is going to take a long time. So 9, 10 characters would be ideal. 8 is okay. Anything less than that would be very, very unsecure. So if we go to the password complexity and we enable this policy here, what that does is force the user to use uppercase, lowercase, numbers and symbols in their password. Makes things a lot more secure. So we're going to enable that. And therefore you would need a password like, I'll just bring up Notepad. This is one we use for learning. So capital P at SSW0RD, for example, just to give you an example of our password. Okay, I'll just change the font so you can actually see that. So this is a password we use just for learning. We would not use this on a live system or anywhere else. So we're using a capital letter at the start. We're using the at sign instead of an A. And we're using a 0 instead of an O. So that's an example of a complex password. So store passwords using reverse encryption. Again, this would reverse encrypt the password to make it even more difficult to crack with a password cracking tool. As well as these settings, what we can also do is the account lockout policy. So account lockout duration. So this is the length of time that if someone typed in the wrong password, they would be locked out for so many minutes. Now, it's a good idea to have this set to round about 3 to 5 minutes. You would not want them locked out for hours, and the reason for that is because if you lock them out for hours, then they're just going to set the wrong password on a Monday morning and sit for a couple of hours. I can't do any work. My password's locked out. Okay, so 3 to 5 minutes, and let them know that there is a policy there. What does this stop? This stops cracking tools repeatedly trying to crack the password or someone trying to guess the password, because every time they type it in, the account is locked. When they get it wrong, they have to wait another 3 to 5 minutes. So it slows down that process. Account lockout duration. So how many attempts do they get before it's locked out? Don't set it to 1, or that's no good whatsoever. Don't set it to 10, that's no good whatsoever. 3 to 5 is about right. So I'm going to set this to round about, well, we'll go in between, four attempts. And the reason for that is because on a Monday morning, most people do get their password wrong. So if you set it to 1, then they're all going to be locked out and people won't get in to do their work. So I'm going to set this to 4, and there's always an explanation there. But you probably did notice the last one was greyed out. And that's because this one wasn't set. The threshold wasn't set. So if I go back now, I've actually got a setting here that can change. Previously, it was greyed out. So account is locked out after 3 minutes. Okay. Sorry, it's locked out for 3 minutes. Apply. Okay, so reset account lockout counter after so many minutes. So again, if the account is locked out, then it can be reset after so many minutes. I'm going to leave that at 3. One more thing that we could do is on the local policies here, in audit policy, we could audit account logon events. So we can audit successful and failed logon attempts. And this would tell us whether someone was trying to log in to our PC when we're not there because of the failures. Also, when someone did successfully logged in. And where would we see these settings? We would see these in Event Viewer. So if I typed in Event Viewer, and obviously because it's a security setting, it'll be in the security part of Event Viewer. So if I expand Windows Logs, Security, and at the moment there's none there, okay, but if I log out, log back in, so I'll just log off, close this down just now, and log off. So I've signed out. I'm going to type in a couple of passwords that are incorrect, and another one, and then this time I'm going to log in with the correct password we use for learning. And we're in now. Okay, so if I go back to Event Viewer, get it to come up. It must be doing an update with just being a new installation. It can be a bit slow with updating to begin with. So if I go into my Event Viewer again, because that policy is applied, what should happen is I should get a log of events occurring. Oops, it's running slow again. There we go. Okay, so it just took a while to update there, and we can see that we have our logon events occurring as we speak. So just a bit of patience and we could get the logon events there. Okay, so there's the failed one that we had earlier on. Okay, so that completes this lesson on account lockout policies and password policies. So hopefully you found it useful. Thanks for listening.